What's going on, guys? It's your boy DJ Skandalous here, and welcome to my all new series called Tupac The Breakdown. This is going to be a weekly series that I have up on my DJ Skandalous YouTube channel. It's going to be out every Friday, and each Friday we're going to break down a new Tupac song, whether released or unreleased, and we're going to break down key facts about the song, how it was made, the sample, featured artist, how it was remixed, and how it was released, and compare it to the actual original or other remixes that you may have heard. Now, for the very first one, I thought we had to do it proper, and we gotta do it where the song changes, because everybody knows the song changes, but not everybody knows that the way it was released was an actual remix, such as what I do on my channel is where I take the Tupac vocals and I may put it on a new beat. That's called a remix. A lot of songs after Tupac's death, not including the Machiavelli album, and several songs on Still I Rise and Are You Still Down, they were updated originals, but the majority of the songs released after 1997 were remixes. Changes is a notable remix. So let's dive into this and I'll break it more down as we go on. So on Wikipedia here it says Changes, Tupac's Shakur song. Changes is a hip hop song by Tupac featuring talent. The song makes references to the war on drugs, the treatment of black people by police, racism, as well as poverty and a vicious cycle system in urban African American culture and the difficulties of life in the ghetto. Production and recording. The song was originally recorded during his tenure at Interscope Records in 1992 and was produced by Big D the Impossible Dion Evans. The song reuses lines from I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto, which was also recorded in 1992 and released in remix form on the 1997 album Are You Still Down. The song samples the 1986 hit The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby and The Range. The chorus of The Way It Is was resung by Talent and was used for this song. At times, Tupac reused lines from other unreleased songs because he planned to make a updated version at a later date. However, since his death, many of his unreleased and unmastered songs have officially been released. Now, I believe I actually edited this Wikipedia page like 10 years ago, because 10 years ago, they actually added in here that his estate took I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto, some vocals from there, and put it on Changes and made like a Frankenstein remix of a song that would have two different verses from different songs. Now, this happened before with Eminem, such as when he took the song Judgment Day and he took that verse and he lifted it and put it on a song called Soldier's Revenge, not to be confused with the version on Strictly for My Niggas. It's a totally different song. So he took that verse and put it on that song and called it Soldier Like Me. And he also did the same with the song Nigga on Loyal to the Game, which that song has a partial verse from Niggas in the Pen from 1993, as well as the first half of the verse is from 1991 from a song called Nigga from Tupac Now. So this was not the first time that people have heard that they were put in verses from different songs together to make a final version, which doesn't make sense to me because overall you would want as many Tupac songs as you possibly can have to release. Now, I can understand their whole standpoint where they gotta make a solo song, but Tupac already had many solo songs unreleased at the time in 1997 and 1998. So back to my key point here, Changes and Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto are two totally different songs, even though they reuse some of the same lyrics and the same lines, and that's because Tupac recorded Changes first for the unreleased Troublesome 21 album, which was rejected by Time Warner. And this was the album Tupac was working on to follow up Tupac Now, and it was supposed to be released in 1992, but they rejected it because it had too many political references and references aimed at shooting police officers, such as the song Mr. Troublesome, which you can find online, and Crooked Nigga 2. Mr. Troublesome you can find online as Troublesome 21 or Troublesome 92, and this is not to be confused with the Troublesome 96 version, which is a totally different song. So the majority of the album had a lot of cop references. The whole album was rejected by Time Warner, and the main reason was that they did not want to take the whole blowback from all the political figures that were coming after Tupac, such as Dan Quayle, the vice president at the time, which wanted Tupac's albums basically ripped off the shelf. It's the main thing that happened to Tupac Now, which is why it did not sell more than what it actually did, because he had a lot of political blowback. From all the unreleased lists that we have, Changes never appears on any one of them, but we do know it's from 1992 because the original Tupac references 1992 in the song, but you do not hear that in the remix because that was edited out. But seeing how this shares some of the same lyrics as Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto, my personal opinion is that this song was the first version where he wrote down these lyrics and he felt like this was the beat that he wanted to rap on. And as with many rappers, they may write a verse, they may spit that verse on one song, and then that whole song becomes unreleased. So they may take the verse and add it to another song that they're working on, or they may just totally re-record that over a different beat or a couple years later. And that's the case with many songs like I'm Getting Money and Straight Ballin', sharing the same lyrics. That's because I'm Getting Money was the original recording, and we would never heard that if Tupac didn't die, even though the original recording was meant for the original Thug Life album, which was also rejected by the record label. So we do hear a lot of songs where Tupac reuses the same lines or he re-records same parts, and that's because he was constantly taking from his unreleased songs to make his newer songs better, or take that theme and redo it, because we weren't really meant to hear most of all the songs where he reused the same verses. Alright, so let's keep on going with this. This remix version was resung by Talent. The original, the chorus is kind of the same, but is sung by a different singer called Poppy. The remix version, released in 1998, has notably a different percussion, a few minor changes to musical elements. The chorus on the original track features a notable difference in the vocal sample of the line, "It's like that and that's the way it is," from the Run DMC's song "It's Like That," which is also played twice during the intro. And I believe they're talking about the original here. So it goes on to say the second chorus adds the Ice Cube line, "Dope dealers, you're bad as police," from the song Us. The third chorus omits the Ice Cube sample and adds B-boy style chant with an unknown person repeating, "Clap your hands and feel it, clap your hands and feel it," until the song ends. So this just goes on more to say that it samples Bruce Hornsby's song in a range. Also says that the Bay Area rapper E40 also used the same sample for his song Things Will Never Change from the Hall of Game album, which he released in October of 1996. Which, this is a kind of funny story with the song Changes and E40. I heard an interview probably around 10 years ago that E40 was clapping back at the Tupac estate, saying that the Tupac estate stole from his song and was really inspired by his song for the remix version of Changes. Which doesn't even make sense, because his version of the song was released after Tupac's passing, obviously in October of 96, so Tupac would never even heard E40's version for Tupac to even record a song called Changes. And obviously, Tupac's song is from 1992, and the overall sample is mostly the same from the original and the way that they remixed it. It just happened that both rappers had the same idea when doing these tracks. Overview: the song was the #1 hit in Norway and the Netherlands, and reached the top 10 in singles charts several countries, including #3 the United Kingdom, which gained Tupac a broader audience. The song was released on the Greatest Hits album in 1998 and talks about different issues that were related to Tupac's era of influence: racism, police brutality, drugs, gang violence. The Huey line that Tupac mentions in the song, "Two shots in the dark, now Huey's dead," is about Huey P. Newton, the founder of the Black Panther Party. The song refers to the possibility of a black president of the United States claiming, "We ain't ready." Further, the last verse of the song refers to Tupac's premonition about being shot to death, mimicking the sound of the gun and the phrase "rat-tat-tat, that's the way it is." And also, Chris Hefner directed the music video, and it was random footage of Tupac throughout his life. And it's actually funny because Gobi, which did many music videos for Tupac while he was alive, he made a video for Life Goes On, and he actually felt like they ripped off his video because I think he submitted it to Death Row Records or the estate for them to use for something, and they totally just took the whole idea of his video for Life Goes On and rehashed it for Changes. Accolades: Changes was nominated for Best Solo Performance at the Grammy Awards of 2000 and remains the only posthumous song nominated in this category. It was also nominated at the MTV Video Music Award for Best Editing Video and Best Rap Video in 1999, which it should definitely won. Alright, so let's see what Bruce Hornsby actually said about this. So this article is from 2011 here, and Bruce goes on to say that the original Changes was a lot dirtier and had a lot of the N-word in it. The further down, talks about if he got to meet Tupac, and he says, "No, I never did. As you know, of course, he recorded his version of the song, which I think was his biggest hit." I would say it mostly was mainly his biggest hit, but you can say Dear Mama was also his biggest hit. You can also say California Love was his biggest hit. A year after he was assassinated, I got a cassette in the mail from the Tupac Shakur Foundation saying, "We found this song. It's going to be the single on his Greatest Hits album coming out. The original Changes was a lot dirtier, had a lot of the N-word. They took out that for the single. I didn't request it. It's their creation. It wasn't my place to say anything." Which is totally untrue. Now, when I read this back in 2011, I thought, okay, maybe there's another version of this. Because in 2011, I believe that the original already leaked on the internet, which you can hear on YouTube if you just type in Changes OG, which means Changes original version. I thought, okay, since the original doesn't really have the N-word in it, he has to be talking about a different recording because Tupac at many times recorded the same song multiple times. So I felt like maybe there was an alternate recording that Tupac recorded for this song prior to making this version, because like I said before, he often recited the same lyrics or the same theme or the same song over different beats, or recreated that song at different points in his life. I thought maybe, okay, maybe there's another Changes version, but why would they send a different version to him with different set of lyrics or a different set of vocals, like a different take? So that did not make sense either. And when you go look at the samples in the original, there's not much of the N-word at all, except for when Tupac says Negro. So what I'm thinking is maybe Bruce Hornsby heard I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto, and maybe that's why he felt like there was a lot of the N-word in there, because Tupac does say more of the N-word in that version of the song. And that's kind of ironic because the remix of I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto came out in 1997 and was also a single for Are You Still Down? And then the following year, they released Changes as a single for Greatest Hits, which I think was great that they separated them, because you wouldn't want these two songs on the same exact album since they share lyrics. But they had them as a single back to back, which is kind of funny because why didn't I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto have the same impact as Changes? It's kind of beyond me, and I think that's because the beat was darker, while Changes had a more prominent sample and uplifting mainstream beat. And also, I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto has more curse words that had to be edited for the radio versions of the song. And obviously I think Changes is more uplifting and more inspirational. So I'm not too sure what he was saying there, that it has more of the N-word. I think that's more of a fabrication on his part. Okay, so another question was, do you like the song? And he says, I really liked it. Lots of rappers have used The Way It Is. Wyclef, E40, Snoop. I love what Tupac did with it. I just said go, go, go. And we all know what that was. Go, 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 so you can give me a check in my bank account for royalties. And then another question was, are you a fan of Tupac's music? He says, I'm a fan now. When Greatest Hits record came out, they sent me it. I never really had dealt with him on a listening level. I was sort of floored by his creativity. I thought he was so clever and really profound and deep. Another question is, do you find it weird that the chorus on Changes is things will never be the same, while the chorus on The Way It Is the opposite, some things will never change? And he says, yeah, well, that's right, but I thought it was a positive message. I didn't think it was a negative message, and I must say I liked the checks. This is not even true either, because the chorus on Changes says some things will never change, and Tupac also recites that over and over and over.
Some things will never change.
And it's funny, I feel like Tupac did kind of flip-flop on the message of the song, because at the end of the first verse, he goes, I would love to go back when we were kids, but things change.
That's the way it is.
So right there he's saying that our circumstances have changed, our environment has changed, we have grown older, and we can't go back to when we were kids because everything has changed. But then of course it goes, some things will never change. Opening a second verse, he goes, and still I see no changes, all I see is racist faces. So again, he's not seeing changes again. And then at the end of the third verse, he's talking about rat-tat-tat, that's the way it is. Like something he did in the past was going to come back to bite him in the ass, and he couldn't really change that. But then he also says the line in there that we need to make changes. In the original, at the end of the song, Tupac is just saying changes repeatedly throughout the outro. So I feel like he kind of flip-flopped there. At one moment he was saying you can't go back because you can't make a difference, you can't make a change. And then other instances he says that some things will never change, they'll always be the same. So I think the whole message was that some things do change, some things you can't change, but we gotta try to make it change. And I think that's the overall theme of the song.
Gotta make a change sometime.
Alright, so another question is, which have you made more money from, Changes or The Way It Is? And he says the original itself. If you want to get into it, there's a lot more to appreciate in rap and R&B for oldies radio. And he goes on to say, I think my version just continues to be recurrent. There's no real outlet for rap oldies, which is not true because now we have YouTube and other streaming platforms and other radio apps and things like that, streaming apps. And also on radio, I hear Changes more often than I hear the original The Way It Is. Alright, so we're going to go over some of these lines here. So he goes, I see no changes, wake up in the morning, I ask myself, is life worth living, should I blast myself? This was used in the song I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto. And also the Cops Give a Damn About a Negro line was also used in that song as well. And then it's different throughout here, throughout the entire verse, it's totally different. Also guys, I want to break down the lyrics here for the remix that was released on his Greatest Hits album. At the end of the second verse, there's a line here saying, now you tell me what's a mother to do, being real don't appeal to the brother in you. You gotta operate the easy way. I made a G today, but you made it in a sleazy way. Selling crack to the kids, I gotta get paid. Well, hey, that's the way it is. And this is a part where another person comes in and says, I made a G today, and also I gotta get paid. On the original, Tupac says, I made a G today,
I made G's today.
and I gotta get paid himself.
I gotta get paid. Well, hey.
But for whatever reason on the remix version, they removed that and had someone else say it. So I'm not too sure if they removed that because they didn't want Tupac to be labeled as like a drug dealer, like he's selling crack to the kids because he has to get paid. So I'm not too positive if that's the reason or not. I do like that they kind of cut him in to the remix version. It kind of gave it like a little bit of a break, but I would have preferred that Tupac's vocals would have remained intact. This is one of the few songs that when I heard it, I thought it was a Death Row recording. And usually I could tell by Tupac's voice tone and the flow and things like that it was recorded in a certain year or era. But this song was masked so well with the beat being modernized and Tupac's vocals being a little bit deeper that it had me feeling like it was a Death Row era track when it was really only a 1992 track. So I believe they did really well there, making it sound modernized. And I'm glad they released this on the Greatest Hits album because on Are You Still Down, it wouldn't have sounded right, like I said before, because it shares the same vocals from I Wonder If Heaven Got Ghetto. And the only other album they could have released this on was Loyal to the Game. For this to be released, then Eminem would have remixed it, and I don't think it would have had the same impact we've seen with Ghetto Gospel, even though that's a great song. Eminem stretched the vocals so much, slowed it down so much, and made it robotic and distorted that I think changes would have been the very same way. So I'm glad they released it in 1998 and did not hold it off. Also in the remix, it says, we gotta make a change. It's time for us as the people to make some changes. In the original, it says, in 92, we gotta make a change. They took that out so it will sound more modernized as well. Alright guys, well that's my breakdown of changes. There is a Shock G version that samples a Stevie Wonder song called Love, Light, and Flight, but it has not been leaked yet, and I'm not sure if that was for the Greatest Hits album either. But I will say that the remix that they did was nearly flawless, and I believe this is the main reason why we got many remixes after his passing, because they had such a big hit on their hands from remixing. They probably felt like they could make many more remixes instead of releasing the originals, and it would have been just as big. But they really failed on many songs because they butchered them to hell and removed the key samples and also slowed Tupac down in many times and just sound complete trash, really. If they would have followed the same concepts with many songs, just either enhancing it or taking the same sample and redoing it, I think they would have had many more hits. And it's really a shame that Changes is the main song where they just lifted the original sample and it became an instant hit. Why didn't they do this for many other songs that Tupac did, such as Until in a Time, Letter to My Unborn, which had the same sample from I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto remix. Anyways guys, comment down below what song you want me to do next week. I'm thinking I might do like a song like Changed Man or Dear Mama. There's a lot I could talk about with Dear Mama because there's also original versions that is totally different than the version on Me Against the World. So comment below what song you want me to do. Hoping we do some unreleased songs too as well. Also guys, I'm still going to do my breakdowns of Loyal to the Game, Still I Rise albums, Until the End of Time again, as well as breakdowns of unreleased concept albums to show you guys which songs that Tupac wanted grouped together and when he actually wanted to release these songs. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're going to have another one next week. This is Tupac the Breakdown. Peace out.